Single dad CEO discovers amazing bond with girlfriend after daughter's heartwarming request to start playdate. Ethan stared at the blinking cursor on his screen, his heart racing like a runaway train. As a single dad at 36, he felt like life was a race he was losing. The coffee pot gurgled in the background while Mia, his lively, bright-eyed 8-year-old, chewed her sandwich, her tiny feet swinging under the kitchen table. He could barely keep up with the demands of his struggling tech startup, and yet all he wanted was to be a good father. Every day felt like a battle, and defeat hung over him like a dark cloud. Dreams of success felt like a mirage, fading further the more he chased them. "Daddy?" Mia's voice broke through his thoughts like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "Can we invite Sarah over? You know, from class?" Her eyes sparkled with hope, already picturing the joyous chaos of playtime. Ethan's chest tightened. He thought of their neighborhood, the barbecues, the laughter, the typical family portraits, and felt a painful ache in his heart. He closed himself off, sacrificing a social life for the sake of his startup and Mia. Yet, faced with her innocent request, he could only nod, swallowing down the surge of guilt. As luck would have it, Sarah knocked at the door that Saturday evening, her warm smile lighting up the chilly evening. She was a waitress, full of her own aspirations and stories that mirrored Ethan's struggles. Their kids bounced off the walls while Ethan and Sarah exchanged glances that crackled with unspoken understanding. Dinner turned into laughter, laughter turned into a deep and natural rhythm. "You know, it's nice to connect with someone who gets it," she said as the kids played, her hair catching the light in a way that made Ethan's heart beat a little faster. The next few weeks passed in a joyous blur, their late-night chats softening the harsh edges of Ethan's day. He felt something he hadn't in a long time, a flicker of hope, and maybe even attraction. But just as he allowed himself to dream, opportunity struck. A big investor knocked on his door, offering a chance to save the startup, but demanding his time like a black hole. Ethan's heart sank. Could he balance this new milestone and still make time for Mia and Sarah? That anxious knot in his stomach tightened. It all came to a head during Mia's birthday. He wanted it to be perfect, a day to unite them all. But as the party fizzled, Ethan was struck by Mia's disappointed eyes, shiny with upturned hope. "Daddy, where's Sarah?" she whispered before she burst into tears, feeling the weight of the day. That moment shattered him. Wolves wouldn't tear him apart like this. The hardest hit came from within. The image of Mia's broken smile haunted him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Ethan's thoughts raced. Could he chase financial security at the cost of losing what little family he had managed to build? He had to face his priorities. Success was more than a number in the bank, it was connection, love, and shared moments. As he stared at the blank cake frosting left on the table, he felt a burning question pulse within. Could he truly have both love and ambition? And just when he dared to step toward discovering something beautiful, a crisis erupted at his startup, unraveling the fragile bonds of his newfound relationship. Would this storm sweep away the hope he had just begun to embrace? Ethan sat frozen, the storm hammering against the windows like a chaotic symphony, mirroring the chaos in his mind. His phone buzzed relentlessly, alerts pinging him about issues at the startup. A major product release had encountered unexpected glitches, and the investor needed solutions fast. He couldn't afford to fail. But the thought of Mia's glistening eyes haunted him. He could almost hear her whispered question, "Daddy, where's Sarah?" It dug deep, a relentless reminder of the life he was trying to build outside the office walls. The weight of expectation pulled him in every direction, leaving him gasping for clarity amid the whirlwind. Finally, he put his phone down, watching as the lights flickered. He took a deep breath, summoning all of his dad's strength. A step into the kitchen revealed Mia, sitting at the table, coloring between bites of her favorite cereal. Finding solace in her crayon-filled world, she looked up, her cheeks smeared with bits of chocolate milk. "Daddy, can we make cupcakes for Sarah?" she asked, her enthusiasm brightening the dim space. "I want her to come over and share them with us so we can have fun together." A lump formed in Ethan's throat. It was a simple request, yet it held a power he had neglected for too long. In that moment, he could almost see the blossoming family he longed for. Yet, the startup loomed large in the back of his mind, echoing like a siren song demanding his attention. "Of course, sweetheart," he responded, forcing a smile as he took a seat beside her. Blood rushed through his veins, propelling a shadow of resolve into his thoughts. "Let us make them together, just you and me." Mia squealed, her joy erupting in delightful giggles. Ethan reached for the flour and sugar, pouring the ingredients into a bowl, a primal urge to create something sweet for his daughter and the woman who had unwittingly intertwined herself in their lives. As they mixed, laughter filled their small kitchen, the sound of whisking echoing like a heartbeat. Ethan could feel the gap between his responsibilities and family shrinking, if just a little. He was swept away by moments of genuine happiness, cherishing every spill and every smile, refusing to allow the storms of work to drown out the calm of love. After a victorious baking session, they placed frosted cupcakes on a pastel platter decorated with sprinkles, their faces messy but full of vibrant joy. "They're perfect!" Mia exclaimed, beaming with pride. "Now we just have to let Sarah know," Ethan said, determination blossoming alongside hope. Picking up his phone, he sent a quick message. "Hey Sarah, we baked cupcakes. Would love for you and your daughter to join us tonight." He hit send, the wave of anxiety swirling as he tried to prepare for the uncertainty of her response. The minutes ticked by, and just as doubts began to seep in, his phone chimed with a reply. "Sounds amazing. We'll be there." Ethan lifted his head, his heart racing. It wasn't just about cupcakes, it was about knitting together a family, weaving the fabric of connection he had dreamed about for so long. Perhaps he could chase ambition while nurturing these new bonds. The realization sparked a new path. Mia clapped her hands, dancing around the apartment, and in that moment, Ethan felt something shift inside him. Could it be that love and ambition were not foes, but companions on this journey? But as they waited for their guests, the unsettling thought crept back in, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. What would happen when the bubble of joy burst, and he was forced to confront the chaos lurking just beyond his door? The doorbell interrupted his thoughts. With every step towards the door, his heartbeat raced. This could change everything. Would Sarah walk through that door as just a friend or as something more? Ethan pulled open the door, uncertainty mixing with hope. What he hadn't anticipated was the shadow of complications lurking just beyond. Ethan swung open the door, and there stood Sarah, her smile shining through the cold, damp air of the stormy evening. It was the kind of smile that could brighten the dreariest days. Just behind her was her daughter, Lily, wide-eyed and clutching a stuffed animal close to her chest. "Hey, Ethan. We brought some snacks, just in case you're not sure if those cupcakes will hold up." Sarah laughed lightly, her voice warm and inviting. Mia jumped forward, embracing Lily, the laughter of children filling the entryway like a bright chorus amid the backdrop of stormy weather. "Come on in," he welcomed, stepping aside and watching as the two girls immediately took to the living room, grabbing at the brightly colored cupcakes with glee. His heart warmed, seeing how effortlessly they played together. But beneath the surface of joy, traces of anxiety lingered, whispering fears of whether he could be enough for this newfound connection. Ethan moved to the kitchen to prepare some drinks, his mind a flurry. Should he keep things casual? Or would that only highlight his insecurities? Sarah followed him in, the warm light casting a soft glow across her features. "They look delicious," she said, nodding toward the cupcakes. "You both did an amazing job." "Thanks. Mia's a master baker," he replied, trying to keep his spirit light. The shy smile on Sarah's lips sent electricity through him, making his fingers fumble with the glasses. Honestly, you're doing great. Balancing it all must be tough, she said, her voice gentle, almost probing. Beneath her playful tone, Ethan sensed an understanding, the kind only someone who juggled multiple lives could feel. That he turned to look at her, vulnerability hitting like an unexpected wave. It is, he admitted. Between the startup and being a dad, sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing either well enough. She nodded, empathy reflecting in her eyes. You're definitely doing better than you think. Mia loves spending time with you. And she hesitated. I see how much effort you put into both. Ethan felt something flicker within him. Could he trust her? They had started as friends, but now the edges of their relationship felt blurred, dangerously close to something deeper. The moment hung between them, charged and uncertain. He wondered if she could feel what he felt, the attraction, the potential for something more than just friendship. Their gazes locked until another grand burst of laughter pulled them back to the living room. Mia and Lily had concocted some sort of cupcake-eating contest, giggles escaping in delight. Their carefree joy painted an idyllic picture that made Ethan's heart swell. Maybe we should join them, Sarah suggested playfully, breaking the tension. They seem to be having too much fun without us. He chuckled, a balm to his worry. You're right. It's time to make our own mess. Together, they moved into the living room, the air thick with playful energy. As the evening unfolded, Ethan watched Sarah, her laughter blending beautifully with the innocence of the kids, her spirit lighting up their small apartment. But in the back of his mind, worry sat heavy. Could this easy laughter and warmth last? What about the pressures waiting at his startup? Yet, for now, he pushed those thoughts aside, choosing to revel in the moment. He knew their connection was fragile, but there was a chance, a flicker of hope that sparkled amid the chaos outside. After a round of cupcakes decorated with exaggerated frosting designs, Sarah wiped a smudge from Mia's face, and in that small act, Ethan felt the weight of possibility growing. Ethan, Sarah began, her tone shifting slightly, can I ask you something? Before she could finish, a sudden crash from the window startled them all, sending a shiver through the room. What else waited just outside their safe little bubble? Did the storm hold more than just rain? Ethan's heart raced. What did Sarah want to know? Ethan's heart raced as the thunder rumbled outside, a perfect punctuation mark to the sudden tension in the room. The crash had come from a branch slamming against the window, rattling the glass and echoing the anxious stirrings in his chest. He glanced at Sarah, who had instinctively taken a small step closer to him, her eyes wide with surprise. Are you okay? She asked, an edge of concern threading her voice. Yeah, just, unexpected, he replied, hoping to dismiss the moment's weight. But he couldn't shake the feeling that the noise had triggered something deeper between them, some unfinished thought lingering in the air. Mia and Lily were oblivious to the sudden shift, their laughter still ringing like bells. They had gone back to their game, shoving cupcakes into each other's mouths and giggling uncontrollably. Seeing their joy sparked a tiny flame of ease in him. Maybe we should crank the lights up a bit? Ethan suggested, trying to redirect the mood. Good idea. Sarah agreed, a smile creeping back onto her face. Together, they moved to a lamp, and as Ethan switched it on, the warm glow enveloped the room, creating a cozy nook against the storm outside. Okay, back to cupcake chaos, he declared, adopting a playful tone to bridge the subtle tension. The laughter returned. For a moment, everything felt perfect. But as Mia and Lily engaged in animated chatter, Ethan noticed Sarah silently watching them. Her expression was a mix of contemplation and admiration. He wondered what she was thinking, if she was envisioning their daughters as friends forever or something more profound. Hey, do you want to make it more interesting? Sarah said suddenly, her eyes twinkling. How about a cupcake decorating contest? Loser has to clean up. Now that's a hefty bet, Ethan laughed. Just think about it. You could use the practice, she teased, gesturing dramatically towards his last frosting disaster. Fine. Game on. He shot back, feeling invigorated by her playful challenge. As they divided the remaining cupcakes and frosting, Ethan felt a shift in the air. Their laughter mingled, becoming a tide that pulled him closer to her. Time felt elastic, stretching out with each shared smile, each playful shove of frosting. Eventually, as the last cupcake was decorated and the girls did their best to critiquing the artistry before them, Ethan noticed Sarah's gaze lingering on him. "What was it you wanted to ask earlier?" he asked gently, his voice cutting through the childish chatter. She paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face before she took a breath, gathering herself. I wanted to know if you've thought about what comes next for you. After all this? The startup, being a dad, or whatever this is?" Ethan's heart caught in his throat. Would she even want to stay in his life once the immediate spark faded? The very idea of losing this connection sent a chill through him. "I guess I haven't given it much thought," he admitted carefully, taking a step closer, their eyes locked once more, hers searching his, as if ready to whisper secrets only the two of them could hear. But just then, another crash echoed outside. The storm intensified, wind howling as if trying to join the conversation, and the lights flickered precariously. "Should we check the generator?" Sarah suggested, her brow furrowing slightly in worry. Ethan shook his head, the warmth of their moment eclipsed by the looming chaos outside. "Let us just stay right here for now. No one's dying to get into the storm, are they?" As the storm raged, uncertainty lingered in the very air between them, breathing silently yet profoundly. What truths hovered just beyond the temporary haven of laughter in his home? Ethan wondered what those winds might blow in, and whether they could steer their lives into something unexpected, something even beautiful. But was he brave enough to embrace it? Ethan's thoughts spun with the uncertainty lingering between him and Sarah, a delicate balance teetering in the midst of their playful chaos. The storm outside roared like it had its own agenda, but inside, amidst the giggles and sprinkles, a different kind of thunder was brewing, a connection grounded in shared laughter and the unknown glimmer of something deeper. Mia erupted in a fit of giggles, her cherry-topped cupcake a colorful mess on her plate. "Look, Mommy! Mine is a rainbow explosion." She held it up proudly as if it were a trophy. "Just wait until you see mine." Lily chimed in, showing off her own creation, smothered in whipped cream and chocolate. The room filled with their delighted shrieks, a sweet counterpoint to the howling wind. "Okay, cupcake judges, time to decide," Sarah announced, her eyes bright as she dropped her playful demeanor for a moment, shifting back to the role of an attentive mother. As the girls huddled together to critique their sugary masterpieces, Ethan took a moment to lean against the counter, stealing glances at Sarah. The soft glow of the lights framed her face, and he marveled at how comforted he felt in her presence. He thought about her earlier question, the one that had hung between them like a storm cloud. What would come next for them? Did they even know what they wanted? "Ethan?" Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts. He blinked, startled. "Yeah? What's up? Do you think you could take Mia to the park tomorrow?" "I have a couple of meetings I can't miss." Her voice trailed off, revealing a shadow of hesitation. "Sure, I can do that," he replied, surprised at how readily the words came out. He'd been playing it safe, holding back. But there was something about the way she asked that urged him to step out of his comfort zone. "Really? That'd be great. Sometimes it's hard to juggle everything." And she hesitated, a small sigh escaping her lips. "Thank you." He nodded, feeling a sense of connection forming from such a simple agreement. Everything about the afternoon felt charged with potential. Maybe this was a step, one of many possible steps. When the girls excitedly announced Mia's masterpiece as the winner, Sarah let out a little whoop of joy, and Ethan couldn't help but laugh along. Their laughter blended with the storm outside, both chaotic yet incredibly freeing. "Next time, we should tackle a real baking challenge. You know, pies or cookies?" Ethan suggested, feeling the day spiraling into something fun and hopeful. "Yes. I'm all in," Sarah agreed, excitement dancing in her tone. "But if you lose again, you'll really have to clean up." "Deal." He shot back, adrenaline pulsing through him. The atmosphere shifted, filled with warmth and a sprinkle of adrenaline. The storm outside began to soften, the rain now a soft patter against the glass. "Do you think the thunder scared the kids earlier?" Sarah reflected, and for a moment, her laughter faded into memory as she pondered the world they were living in, a world full of unexpected noises and fears, both at home and outside. Ethan held her gaze, feeling the weight of it all. "Kids have a funny way of bouncing back, don't they?" he replied, knowing full well that adults weren't always so elastic. Just then, a heavy gust rattled the window, and their eyes widened slightly. "I think it's actually getting worse out there," Sarah pointed out, shivering slightly. Ethan's heart beat faster, understanding that the momentary peace they had created in this homely chaos was temporary. The storm outside was a reminder of the chaotic world beyond, full of uncertainty. "Sarah," he said carefully, "can we keep this moment going? I mean, us? I don't want it to just fade." The challenge of the question hung in the air like the remnants of the storm, waiting for an answer that he hoped would bring clarity. Before she could respond, a loud crack echoed outside, shaking the foundation, and all thoughts of tomorrow hung suspended. "What was that?" Mia asked, her small voice filled with concern. "Just thunder, sweetie," Sarah reassured her quickly, but Ethan could see the flicker of worry in her eyes, a worry that reflected his own. Had they built something beautiful enough to weather the storm? Or would the forces outside shatter the fragile connection formed by laughter and messy cupcakes? And for a fleeting moment, he wondered if this was just the beginning of the overture for the symphony to come. Ethan felt the tension crackle in the air, a silent plea for calm amidst the chaos. Sarah's eyes were wide, and he could see the flicker of fear dancing within them. He reached out, letting the warmth of his hand linger over hers, an anchor in the storm that swirled both inside and outside their little kitchen. "Mia, sweetie. Why don't you and Lily go find your favorite movie to watch while we clean up?" Sarah suggested, her voice steadying. She was putting on her strong front again, the one that had carried her through countless storms before. The girls bounced off, oblivious to the weight of the moment shared by the two adults. "Ethan," Sarah began, her voice softening as the laughter faded into a comfortable silence, only broken by the gentle pitter-patter of the rain against the windows. I don't want this to just be a fleeting moment." He nodded, his heart racing. "Me neither. I want to explore this, whatever this is." She smiled, the corners of her eyes crinkling with a glint of hope. "It just feels complicated sometimes. I have Mia to think about, you know. Our lives are tangled in ways I can't quite untangle yet." Ethan understood. He, too, carried the weight of his responsibilities, the expectations of being a single dad and a CEO. Balancing those roles with any kind of personal relationship was tricky, like trying to juggle eggs while riding a unicycle. "I get it," he replied, heart beating louder than the storm outside. "But maybe it's worth the risk. We can take things slow. Just let it happen." A soft smile crept across Sarah's lips, giving him a fleeting glimpse of joy he hoped would blossom into something more. But outside, the wind howled, rattling the windows, reminding them both of the unpredictability of life. "Look, Mia is resilient. You've raised her to be strong. Whatever happens between us, we can handle it." Her gaze burned into his, and he could feel the storm break, inch by inch, revealing a ray of light peeking through the clouds. But just as that connection strengthened, the thunder clapped once more, louder and more ferocious. The windows rattled with a force that made even the walls shudder. "Mia!" Sarah shouted, worry filling her voice. They rushed to the living room, where Mia and Lily stared wide-eyed at the flickering lights. "It's okay. Just a storm." Ethan knelt down beside them, his presence a calming anchor. Mia clutched her stuffed unicorn. Mommy, I don't like it. It's scary. Sarah wrapped her arms around her daughter, and in that instant, Ethan felt a surge of affection for both of them. It was raw and real, a force that drew him in closer. Mia, let us play a game. How about we make a list of all the fun things we can do for summer? He offered, hoping to distract her from the thunder. Like what? She asked, her eyes brightening. Like camping in the backyard, or having a picnic at the park. Yes. And we can roast marshmallows. Lily added, bouncing in place. The storm outside began to fade, replaced with laughter and excitement echoing in the living room. Sarah watched the interaction between Ethan and her daughter, a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty swirling within her. I didn't know you were good with kids, Sarah said softly, her heart warming at the sight. I'm learning, he replied, glancing at her as the corners of his mouth turned up. And I really like this. But just as the girls erupted into a flood of ideas, the lights flickered again and then plunged them into darkness. Not again. Mia squealed, burying her face in Sarah's shoulder. It's all right, champ, Ethan said, scanning the room for candles or a flashlight. Just a little power outage. He caught Sarah's eye, a shared moment lingering between them in the faint glow of the thunderstorm outside. With the confidence that came with that connection, he took a breath. Maybe this is a sign and opportunity for us to figure it all out together. As he held on to the fragile yet vibrant bonds forming in the dim light, the sound of the storm still raged on. But he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something significant, and as he watched Sarah comfort Mia, a new thought bubbled in his mind. What if the real storm was yet to come, one that would either bring them closer or tear them apart for good? Ethan fumbled through the kitchen drawers, his heart racing at the thought of the darkness surrounding them. The flickering candles he discovered sent a soft, warm glow across the room, and as he lit them, shadows danced on the walls, momentarily pushing away the fears looming just beyond the glass. Mia, how about we make shadow puppets? He suggested, holding up his hands to form a makeshift dog. The girls squealed with laughter, bringing a smile to Sarah's face as he felt that same warmth creeping in again. Look! A puppy! Mia cheered, momentarily forgetting the storm. Now it's your turn, Mommy. Lily pushed Sarah's hands up with excitement. With a reluctant laugh, Sarah joined in, creating an elaborate rabbit that hopped across the wall. Their giggles filled the room, wrapping around them like an embrace. In that moment, Ethan realized how quickly this new little family felt like home. The worries he'd carried just moments ago lightened, if only briefly, but a wave of uncertainty washed over him. What happens after tonight? When the lights come back on? He thought. They shared something beautiful, but reality waited just outside their cozy bubble. Okay, enough puppets. Mia declared, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Let us tell ghost stories. Ghost stories? Sarah raised an eyebrow, but the corners of her mouth tugged up in an attempt at disapproval. I'll start. Once upon a time she began, her voice low and mysterious, turning the living room into a haunted world. Ethan watched, captivated by the way Sarah turned mundane words into something magical. As she spun tales of friendly ghosts and secret passages, he felt a rush of admiration for her. She was an incredible mom, a vivid storyteller, and even in moments of chaos, she brought a sense of wonder and safety that Mia craved. Yet, as the shadows lengthened, Ethan couldn't dismiss the knot in his stomach. The complexities of their lives loomed like that storm outside, and he faced the fragile thread connecting them, a thread that could snap easily if they weren't careful. Mia, he started, looking at her earnest face glowing in candlelight. What's one thing you really want to do this summer? Mia narrowed her eyes in deep thought, her lips pursed. I want to go to the beach. Can we, Mommy? Absolutely. Sarah beamed, her surprised joy lighting up the room. It'll be our adventure. Just the three of us. Ethan's heart sank slightly. Was he only there to play the part of the fun dad? The idea of being on the sidelines of their adventures hurt more than expected. Mia turned to him, her youthful innocence piercing through his uncertainty. "You can come too, Ethan. You're my friend." He swallowed that lump in his throat, unsure how to respond. "Of course, Mia. I wouldn't miss it for the world." As the darkness wrapped around them, this moment felt pivotal. He glanced at Sarah, and she caught his eye, both of them knowing the unspoken truth. They were on a precipice, balanced delicately between friendship and something deeper, but just then, a crack of thunder rattled the windows, deeper than before. It sent Mia diving into Sarah's arms again, the laughter replaced with nervousness. "Mia, don't worry," Ethan coaxed, his voice steady. "It's just nature being loud." Yet, as he spoke, the weight of expectations pressed down on him. If they ventured into this potential relationship, what if the thunder wasn't just the storm? What if it was warnings of what could happen next? Would Mia's happiness become a point of tension instead of joy? Sarah's hand found his, and he felt that familiar warmth again. "We can handle it," she whispered softly, but the doubt in her eyes mirrored his. "Right?" Ethan asked, half hopeful, half uncertain. In that fragile moment, a new storm brewed not just outside, but within their hearts. They were teetering on the edge of possibility, and the next steps could change everything, but he couldn't shake the nagging thought: could their connection survive the real storm that awaited? Ethan drew in a shaky breath, the cozy glow of their makeshift lantern dispelling some of the darkness but amplifying the weight in his chest. They had escaped one storm only to face uncertainty in this small oasis of candlelight. Mia snuggled deeper into Sarah's arms, her fear palpable. Ethan's heart ached at the sight. He wanted to protect them, but the truth was, he felt just as terrified. "Should we keep up the ghost stories?" Sarah suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "Or are we too scared now?" Her smile flickered, much like the flame in front of them. Mia glanced up, eyes wide, and shook her head. "Let us tell the scariest one." Okay, Sarah said. "Once, there was a little girl who loved the rain, and one night, she heard a tapping on her window." Ethan felt a pull in his gut as Sarah began weaving a tale of suspense. He watched her transform, fully engrossed in the story, and it struck him how deeply she could capture their imaginations, even amidst real fear. But just as he admired her, the world outside became chaotic. Rain hammered against the house, like 1,000 tiny feet running for shelter. The wind howled, wrenching the trees until they creaked ominously. He leaned closer, shielding the girls as if he could protect them from the anger of nature. The tapping on the window grew louder, a weird synchronicity with Sarah's story. Mia's heart raced, and she clutched Sarah tightly. "Mommy, is the window going to break?" "No, sweetheart," Ethan assured her, forcing a smile. "Just the storm. We're safe inside." He moved closer, kneeling beside them. In that moment, it felt right being a small family unit against the forces outside. Sarah's face flickered concern his way. What if there's truth to the story?" she whispered. It was meant as a joke, but her eyes sparked with something deeper, something that made Ethan's heart race anew. Suddenly, a loud snap echoed, branches snapping under the force of the wind. Mia yelped, burying her face against Sarah's shoulder. Without thinking, Ethan reached across, wrapping his arm around the two of them in a protective gesture, blocking them from the turmoil outside. "It's just the wind. I swear it's harmless," he assured, but inside, he was unsure. The storm wasn't just outside. It was brewing inside him, threatening to explode. Every heartbeat felt like a pull toward Sarah, toward the moment they had shared. Mia peeked out from her mother's embrace, and with a brave grin, she said, "Ethan, tell us a story. A happy one." His heart warmed, but he hesitated. What story could he tell that would reassure them both? As he opened his mouth, prepared to share something light and funny, he felt the connections, all the shared laughter, the moments that built a bond between them. What was it they had, really? Perhaps it was time to acknowledge it. Once upon a time, he began softly, weaving a tale of a brave knight who always found his way home, no matter the storms he faced. The girls leaned in, enraptured. Their laughter filled the room again, banishing shadows, if only temporarily. As he spoke, he saw how they needed him just as much as he needed them. And yet, lingering doubts clung to his words. What would become of them after tonight? Outside, the storm continued to rage on, but in that sanctuary, laughter rang louder than thunder. Afterwards, as they settled back into silence, Ethan felt Sarah squeeze his hand, her presence grounding him. "Mia, what if we went to the beach tomorrow?" Sarah proposed brightly, her eyes sparkling from the candlelight and remnants of fear. "I'd love that," Mia said, giggling with renewed excitement. Ethan held his breath, glancing at Sarah, who wore a hesitant smile. But what if the storm didn't end tonight? He thought. Deep down, he wanted to believe it would. Right? A soft voice broke through his worries, making him realize he'd been lost in his thoughts. But before he could articulate his response, another crash outside made them all jump. What if it means something? Ethan muttered softly, aware that this moment was both an end and a beginning, as the storm outside raged on. Would this night be the catalyst for their new freedom, or would they remain tethered to the fears they harbored? And in that growing darkness, a single thought echoed: could they really weather the storm together? Ethan's heart raced as the storm outside pulsed with a new intensity, almost in tandem with the unease building inside him. The wind seemed to scream through the trees, rattling the windows. He could feel the air grow thick with expectation, as if the world outside was holding its breath. "Mia, why don't we play a game?" he suggested, trying to deflect the tension. "How about a round of I Spy?" Mia perked up, her eyes brightening. "I spy with my little eye something that starts with C." Candle, he thought, glancing at the flickering light. He opened his mouth to respond when Sarah squeezed his hand again. "Is it the candle?" he said, flashing a smile. "Nope. Try again." She giggled, her laughter a sweet melody against the chaos outside. The atmosphere shifted slightly. As they continued to play, Ethan felt a lightness creep in, alleviating some of the burden on his chest. Yet, even amid their laughter, deep down, an unsettling thought lingered in his mind. The storm outside felt like more than just weather. It seemed to resonate with the tempest in his heart. After a few rounds, Mia yawned, her earlier energy dwindling. "Can we tell another happy story before sleep?" she asked, her eyelids heavy. "Sure. How about a story of 3 adventurers?" Ethan began, drawing them in with an engaging tone. He painted a picture of a trio who braved great challenges to find an ancient treasure. As he narrated the tale, he noticed Sarah resting her chin on her hand, captivated, but also contemplative. The story flowed easily, weaving themes of bravery and friendship. He wrapped the plot with a warm ending, where they returned home triumphant. As the last words left his lips, Mia gave a content sigh, closing her eyes. "Happy dreams, sweetheart," Sarah whispered, brushing the hair from Mia's face. Ethan smiled at the way Sarah cared for her daughter, the tenderness shining through. Then, Ethan and Sarah shared the moment of quiet. But the comfort of silence was soon replaced by the sound of rain beating against the window. It became an urgent soundtrack, and Ethan's thoughts spiraled. What if we can't go to the beach tomorrow?" he said suddenly, breaking the stillness. "What if this storm doesn't pass?" Sarah looked at him, her eyes reflecting both worry and resolve. "We could make the best of it, you know. Find some fun indoor games, some arts and crafts. Or a cooking session," he suggested, the weight of her gaze igniting a spark in his chest. "We could bake cookies and tell more stories." "Exactly," she said, enthusiasm blooming in her voice. "We can create our own little paradise inside." They exchanged a smile. In that small, flickering light, Ethan realized how close they had become. He felt a connection he had never anticipated, one woven through laughter, shared fears, and simple joys, but just then, a loud crash shook the house, the sound of a tree branch falling nearby. Mia jolted in her sleep, stirring slightly. In that moment, Ethan felt a shift, a blend of protective instinct and urgency coursed through him. Suddenly, everything felt different. He turned to Sarah, seeing the flicker of fear in her eyes. What if before he could finish, the lights flickered and went out, leaving them in utter darkness? Only the lantern provided a small, comforting glow amidst creeping shadows. The girls were asleep, but more than that, an electric tension filled the air between him and Sarah. In this new silence, they were not just protecting each other, they were connected in their fears and hopes. The storm outside was a reflection of the turbulence brewing inside, and he could see it mirrored in her eyes. "What do we do now?" he whispered, the words feeling heavier than the moment. Sarah leaned in closer, her voice a soft murmur. "I don't know, but we face it together." Ethan held his breath. There it was, the moment of knowing, a spark igniting a possibility he hadn't dared to accept before. Could they really embrace the storm together? Or would it tear them apart? Outside, the tempest roared, but within, they were forging a bond that could withstand anything. Would it be enough to brave what lay ahead? Ethan watched as the candles flickered against the wall, casting playful shadows that danced like whispers of the night. The storm outside raged on, but within the candlelight, an unwavering warmth began to settle over the small gathering. Mia lay peacefully asleep on the couch, her dreams carrying her far from the noise of thunder and rain. Sarah remained beside him, their hands brushing against each other, a quiet reminder of the bond they were nurturing amid the chaos. "What do we do now?" Ethan asked softly, still trying to read the storm brewing in Sarah's eyes. She took a deep breath, letting the air wrap around her uncertainty. "We just keep talking, right? Isn't that how it works?" "Right," he nodded, knowing there was more than a playful suggestion behind her words. The wind howled loudly outside, punctuating the moment like an exclamation mark. But here, in their little world buoyed by candles and the soft snoring of Mia, possibilities flickered to life. Ethan began to share stories, not just from his life but dreams whispered into the quiet shadows, adventures he wanted to embark on, places he longed to visit with Mia. "I always wanted to take her camping," he said, watching Sarah's expression shift as she processed the visions unfolding. "You know, under the stars, roasting marshmallows, telling ghost stories around the fire." "That sounds like magic," she replied, her eyes shining like the moonlight breaking through the overcast sky. "And you know, it can be more than just a dream. We could do that together, all of us." The moment hung weighted in the air, filled with the promise of connection. But as much as he wanted to declare how much he wanted that, doubt crept in like the storm clouds outside, nagging at the edges. "What happens when the thunder stops rumbling?" "Then we'll find another storm to face," she said with an unwavering smile. "You don't have to navigate everything alone, Ethan." She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and in that simple gesture, Ethan felt a rush of warmth, something deep, something that felt like the ever-elusive something more he had been waiting for. "I don't know where this is headed, but I want to find out with you," he admitted, tentatively reaching for her hand, her fingers entwined with his, an echo of their growing connection. "Then let's just keep taking those steps," she whispered, her confidence igniting hope in him. Outside, the storm began to subside, the howls of wind transitioning into a gentle patter of rain. The cacophony that had clouded their evening began to soften, revealing a calmness that permeated the room. Suddenly, a quiet giggle broke the silence, and Mia stirred. "Are we telling stories about adventures again?" she mumbled sleepily, her eyes catching the dim glow of candlelight. Ethan chuckled, the weight from earlier lifting. "Yes, but this time, we're all telling them." "Yes. I want to hear about the brave knight," she exclaimed, her excitement radiating through the dim room. Sarah smiled at Ethan, their eyes locking in that shared moment of understanding. He swallowed that lump in his throat, feeling buoyed by her warmth. He was ready to weather whatever storms might come. And now, as he leaned into the moment, he began to weave a tale about enchanted forests, fantastic creatures, and daring rescues, his voice rising and falling like the soothing rhythm of the night rain. Mia listened, enraptured, giggling and gasping at all the right moments, while Sarah nodded along, eyes glistening with admiration. As the story unfolded, Ethan created a world where the brave knight the hero found not just treasure or glory but connection that transformed his world. Each word mirrored his own emotions, subtly revealing the beautiful truth that maybe, just maybe, love didn't have to fight against ambition but could grow alongside it. When he finished, the room filled with a quiet magic, the candles flickering as if applauding the conclusion. Mia's face glowed with happiness, her eyes heavy with the promise of dreams. "I love it. Can we have a real adventure like that?" she asked. A spark of hope lighting her features. "Absolutely," Ethan assured her, feeling the weight of reassurance settle into his heart. With Mia snuggled safely between them, they all shared a silent agreement, an unspoken understanding that new beginnings awaited them. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel overwhelmed by the challenges of owning a startup or the pressures of single parenthood. Instead, he felt buoyed by this shared moment, three souls ready to embrace the unknown together. As the night wore on, laughter filled their small apartment as they sketched the outlines of future adventures, beach days, camping trips, and playful backyard cookouts. With each idea shared, he sensed they were building a tapestry of connection that would weather any storm, and with her hand resting in his, Ethan's heart danced to a new rhythm, a soft heartwarming melody echoing through the chaos, a reminder that love and ambition could coexist. In this newfound reality, they were no longer navigating the treacherous waters alone, they had cut through the clouds, finding clarity in the moments they shared. The storm meant nothing now, a mere whisper against the promise of tomorrow. Together, they would weather whatever came next, one adventure at a time. So just like that, a single dad, his fearless daughter, and a determined woman ready to face the world together. As they drifted into laughter-laden dreams, a new journey unfurled beyond the horizon. And this was only the beginning. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you more incredible moments like these. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear your thoughts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know how vital your support is.